don't know what that was. Morning, LG.
Morning.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Reverend Guitar Circle R Ranch. I'm your host with the most, Ken, or something. Ken Haas here, everybody. Thanks for tuning in today. Ooh, what a fun day it is. What a gorgeous, sunny, beautiful day we were having here in Toledo, Ohio. Am I lying, LG?
No, it's gorgeous.
I rode my bike to work this morning.
Yeah.
Before 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome. Today I am holding an absolutely stunning purple flame maple Charger RA. We put that RA designation on all of the guitars that we put the Railhammer pickups in. You know why, LG? You know why that is?
Why? You can tell us.
Because RA are the first two letters in the word Railhammer.
Yes.
Now, seems like maybe we would say RH for Railhammer, right?
Right.
But a lot of manufacturers through the course of many years, including us, will sometimes use RH to signify right-handed if there is a left-handed version of the guitar.
Right.
And so to avoid confusion, we went with RA. And on this awesome Charger, we have a Hyper Vintage pickup in the bridge and a Nuevo 90 pickup in the neck. This is our Charger platform. This is a Carina body with a dark roasted maple neck and a gorgeous flame maple top. I put some pictures of this bad boy on the social. There are certain angles that you look at this top on and the match looks pretty good, and then you look at it in a different light and it looks like there is a lot more flame on the bottom half, and then you look at it from the other direction and it looks like there's a lot more flame on the top half. And that is wood, and that is cool. I like how all of these flame maple guitars have their own personality. That's what makes them sweet. On this particular model, there is also some wicked flame in the neck. Can you see that, LG?
A little bit.
Big, fat, and wide flame on that dark roasted maple neck, cutting right across it there. Geez, all the way up the fretboard. I'm trying to, I wish you could see, hopefully you can see what I can see, because it is killer. This is the, this is our sort of top of the line in our Charger platform once we put the Railhammers and make it a very clean look without a pick guard at all. Let's get into some sounds. I am running the Car Rambler that I run in here most every week. Sometimes I get into the rock and we're talking Friedman or Rolla, or even this Slant 6V that's behind me, but 95% of the time I am plugged into this beautiful Car Rambler, which is Steve Carr's sort of take on a very, very high quality deluxe. It's a nice 22 watt amplifier with just a killer open, warm, clean tone. The reverb and the tremolo are turned off, so I'm running straight into the amp. None of my pedals are on. And that is what the Nuevo 90 sounds like in the neck. And both pickups together. And the bridge isolated. Do the same thing, and let's not even mess around, pull the bass contour all the way out. So here is the neck pickup with the bass rolled completely out. Chimey.
That's what Brett Pertusic just said, which is hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Hi, Brett. Both pickups on. And the bridge by itself with the bass contour rolled completely out. Bass in. And everything in between, of course, which is the beauty of the bass contour control. The Railhammer thing has been coming on real strong for us, hasn't it, LG? I know we usually spend most of this half hour that we spend every week that's supposed to be a half hour before it turns into mayhem, before the party starts, before it just turns into hookers and blow until we say
no
when.
hookers and blow.
That doesn't happen?
You're not allowed to have
In my
motors
mind,
below.
in my mind, that's how this hour always goes. I don't know what happened. It seemed like it was focused for a minute, and then it just whoop, boop, 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 boo. I didn't whoop, boop, 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 boo. That's a Gregism.
I don't think so. I think that's a Kenism.
It's a Kenism. The Railhammer thing has been really cool. It started out as, you know, Joe's first major side project after not coming to Reverend full-time. He worked on these pickups for a very, very long time. Had the idea for years and didn't have the time to realize the idea until 2010, 2011 or so. Got the pickups made, got the patent, started the company. We started using them on models in around 2011, starting with bayonet and king bolt models that he'd sort of designed to have something around the pickups. Of course, went good Sensei RA and the Volcano RA, which was very popular. And then he started marketing the pickups on his own. And then eventually Penny and I took the Railhammer under the umbrella of everything that goes on within this building here at the Circle R Ranch, right,
Hops
LG?
Guitars LLC.
And then dealers started to really sort of pick up on it, and it's taken on a life of its own now finally, which is amazing. Yeah, sorry, I had a little frog in my throat there. So for everybody who tunes in every week just to hear me say it, and in case nobody has said it in the comments below, I will go ahead and tell you that the blades take a very small slice of the magnetic field that's created by the string in order to create a nice tight compression on the low end of the guitar, which is why there are blades under the wound strings. And then there's oversized pull pieces under the plain strings to balance with the output of the blades. And so even in the neck position, you end up with a nice tight focused bottom end, but without sacrificing any of the lows. It's still a very broad spectrum EQ. It's just the lows and the highs are balanced very well, and you get a humbucker with more clarity than any humbucker that is out there on the market today. I said it. And there you have it.
Yep.
So what started out in Joe's mind as a rock thing, as you can hear, all I've done is demonstrated these things clean. They just sound beautiful clean. The thumb and finger style thing, which, you know, I could be better at. I'm on the neck pickup, and we're not farting anything out at all. Feel how nice and tight it holds that. But then, you know, put a bunch of distortion on it. That neck, Nuevo 90. The bridge hyper vintage. Drop tunings. More fun than a human being should possibly have, folks. The Reverend Charger RA in transparent purple flame maple with the Railhammer Hyper Vintage pickup in the bridge and the Railhammer Nuevo 90 pickup in the neck. The Railhammer pickups are currently available in black and chrome with brushed nickel available in the very popular Reeves Cabral set, which the Reeves Cabral set is awesome. We have a pickup called the Alnico Grande, and Reeves sort of You boosted the output of that Alnico Grande pickup just a little bit while retaining its tonal character in order to create the Reeves Cabral signature pickups. We offer those in brushed nickel. Those are the only ones we offer brushed nickel. And gold is coming soon. They're on the way.
Right.
They're on the way. It's
Right.
going to happen. LG,
Yes.
should I just keep frapping away or should we take some questions?
Well, I have a general announcement.
General announcement.
Yes.
Love to hear it.
People are asking to see specific models and
Oh, that's fun.
kinds of, our issue right now is that we are sold out of just about everything.
This is a true story.
We had to grab that. We like literally yesterday. We're like, what are we gonna do? I don't know. And then we grabbed that out of Joe P's stash. What's the name of the store? In East
Oh,
Point.
Joe's Music.
Joe's Music. In East. Why couldn't I come up with Joe's
Yeah,
Music? I don't know.
that's
You're
why I
looking at
was
me
so
like,
confused by you. Look at it. I like, what? Huh?
That one's
Yeah,
going
this
to
is
Joe's
going
Music.
to this particular guitar is going to Joe's Music in East Point, Michigan tomorrow morning. That's true.
Right.
Yes, what LG says is true. There are things we'd like to do. We currently are sending guitars back and forth with Gregory Hawkery, and he was like, "Dude, can I get one of these?" And I was like, "Oh, wish that I could, son. Wish that I could."
Right.
But no, it's been insane here for the last few months, and for that, I'd like to thank all of you because
Right. Absolutely.
something's driving this madness,
Absolutely.
and I think it's you guys.
Right. Let me go up to my comment here.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta find it so I can, make it appear on the video screen.
I don't really know how to play that, so
Weird.
I'm not gonna.
Sarah wants to know if that's a 25 and a half or 24 and 3/4.
Sarah, this is a 25.5-inch scale. Within the Reverend line, we're fairly traditional when it comes to that. The bolt-on guitars are all 25.5-inch, and the set neck guitars are all 24 and 3/4, with the obvious exceptions. The baritones are 26 and 3/4, the Descent baritones. The Pete Anderson's East Sider baritone is a 28. Occasionally, we work on some hybrid guitars that may feature one thing or another, but as far as for artists and such, but as far as the production models are concerned, this bolt-on maple neck in this neck shape is the neck that Joe Naylor has been cultivating for many years, and this is sort of our thing. It's our 25.5-inch scale, medium C, with big old frets. And locking tuners, of course, on all of the models, whether or not they have a hardtail, we include the locking tuners.
And why?
Ease of string changing. I mean, and of course, tuning stability is fine, but there's no need to wrap multiple windings around the locking tuner in order for the string to the string to grab onto itself or stabilize itself on the tuner. With the locking tuners, you just pull the string straight through and you lock it and you tune it up to pitch and you're done with it. You can forget about it. Works great for a lot of heavy trem use, but if you're a guy who bends a lot and overbends carelessly, like me, the locking tuners also help out in that situation as well.
I have also seen you change a string on stage in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, it does facilitate that very well.
You turn to the rest of the band, you're like, stretch it out, and then you're like,
yeah, that happens.
doing all that work. Scott said a couple weeks ago, we mentioned new colors next year for the Roundhouse. Do you have any spoilers?
Not yet, Scott. Not yet. I haven't seen them in person yet, so until I see stuff in person, it's hard for me to issue a spoiler, because often we'll bring in a prototype or something and look and be like, oh, this might have been, it might be cooler if we did it in this or whatever.
Tweak it.
But
yeah,
rest assured, we're going to do a gold one. So there you go. There's a spoiler. It looks cool. We're gonna keep this. So on a lot of the Reverend models, when we do a sparkle top or when we do a flame top on the production models, we like to feature the back in this sort of deep violin brown color, which I think is really attractive. I like the two-tone look on a guitar in particular. I love it. I love the way the brown plays off the Pal Ferro fingerboard and the streakiness of the Palo Ferro fingerboard. Obviously, it plays nicely off of these dark roasted maple necks, but it looks nice on a light roasted maple neck as well. But you can see on the roundhouse behind me, this is a faded burst. I just got this back from Greg a couple days ago. As a matter of fact, he was jamming this over on his channel. This is a Wildwood exclusive faded burst roundhouse. And note the deep violin brown back, which is cool because it shows off a little bit of the flame of the, a little bit of the grain of the carina and whatnot in the violin brown, which makes it a very, very attractive piece. And so, violin brown back on the flame maple top. So as we start to, we're going to do some solid colors on the roundhouse next year, and the plan for those solid colors on the roundhouse is to have the brown backs.
Yep.
And we'll see how they look, and if we, hate it, we'll tweak it from there. But I think it's going to be dope.
I don't think we will.
Oh, I don't think so either.
Michael said last week you mentioned the Club King 290 would be available next year in deep sea blue.
That's true. Yes, we have them on order. They should start hitting us by February, but it will be in Lebanon Dumbers.
Will the Club King RB also be available in deep sea blue?
Oh, this is such a tough. It pains me to say this, folks, but you asked the question, so I'm going to tell you. As it looks right now, the Retro Blast Club King is going to be going on hiatus in 2021. That doesn't mean that you will never see it again, and it doesn't mean that it wasn't performing well. Because we sold more Club Kings this year, but we're selling everything right now. It's like I said, the place is a madhouse. But this is really tricky. We're limited in capacity. There's only so many guitars that we can make, and our goal is not to. My goal here has never been, world domination. It is with the pickups for sure, but that's tonal domination. That's different. But obviously we're in a growth pattern, and the demand for some models has been so high that I have to figure out ways to make more of those models because people are getting upset with me. And so, and we have a couple of new things next year that are just awesome. And so in order to make room for some of those new things, some things have to sort of fall by the wayside. And I don't want this whole, I don't want my whole little broadcast thing this week to turn into what we're going to make and what we're not going to make, because not all of those decisions have been made as of yet. But I will tell you that if you have a powerful hankering for a Club King with Retro Blast pickups on it, don't hesitate to grab one if you see one out there, because like I said, we're not making them in 2021. That doesn't mean I won't bring them back at some point. It doesn't mean that a dealer won't want to do an exclusive. It won't, you know what I mean? I never say never. Nothing is ever permanent. We bring things back all the time. Look, we're not making any flat rocks between now and the end of the year, but we're going to be making flat rocks in 2020. It's just 2021. It's just a matter of us sort of moving things around and trying to keep we're just trying to keep it all together over here is what we're trying to do.
That is.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's what it boils. Truth. What's up, LG? I saw you writing furiously.
Oh, yeah. Michael would like to know which is the most single coily Railhammer.
Oh, probably the clean cut, because it's a hum cutter. So what we've done, we can talk about the pickups again a little bit more, but the Railhammers fall into two camps, what we call a humbucker, which there's two coils underneath of the cover. And how am I doing? You tell me. How's that look?
Tilt the headstock towards me. There. Oh, that's better. Yep, like that.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So there's two coils, just like you see a traditional humbucker without a cover on it. There are two coils underneath of this cover, and then of course each coil features one blade and 3 poles, right? So with that's how the humbucker pickup is laid out. With the hum cutter pickups, there are still 2 full complete coils underneath the cover, It's just that we've removed one of the blades and 3 of the poles in order to, again, take the smaller slice of the magnetic field that's being created by the string. And it thins out. It thins out the tone isn't an accurate. It isn't really an accurate description of it, but it focuses.
Tightens the tone,
Yeah, it
right?
focuses. Right. So not unlike one of the things that makes single coil pickups sound like single coil pickups is because they are taking the smaller slice of the string vibration, right? Which is why like a single coil sized, like a Strat replacement humbucker, like a DiMarzio blade or like a Duncan Hot Rails or something like that, don't really quite sound like PAF or whatever, if that's what you're looking for, because that sound is so focused underneath of just that one tight area of the strings, whereas a full humbucker, you're getting all of this vibration incorporated into the sound. So when we do this with the hum cutters, we're doing a little bit of that, which is why we don't recommend that you coil tap these pickups, because if you do, you're only going to hear the clarity of the 3 low strings in one of those coils and the clarity of the 3 high strings in the other one. And you will get some sympathetic stuff. It's not that, you know what I mean?
Cut and dry.
It's not that scientifically perfect. But so with this pickup, the clean cut version of this pickup is the lowest output one. So if you were really looking for a single coil type tone, the clean cut will get you there. And the Nuevo 90 is just that with more gas, like the difference between a traditional single coil and a P90 soap bar, which obviously, again, for those same reasons, it's more spread out. The magnetic field is a little bit wider, and so you get a little bit bigger tone.
To that end,
yes, dear.
I had this comment somewhere in the social media universe this week about coil tapping, but you can totally coil tap the humbuckers, right?
Without any problem at all.
Yeah, because we've done it here, and it was fun and interesting.
And I don't get in. No, we do it. One of my excuses for buying guitars, folks, is that well, I haven't heard one of those with Railhammers in it yet.
It's true.
And so we've had a lot of guitars here that come stock with coil taps in it. I've got that beautiful. I've got a couple of cool Ibanez RGs things that are 2 humbucker guitars with coil taps, and so we put the humbucker models in them and coil tap them, and they sound great. There are polarity diagrams and wiring diagrams for the pickups on the Railhammer website.
Railhammer.com.
Railhammer.com, and you can go in and see. There's like a whole wiring diagram section that Naylor's put together that shows how the individual pickups work and what happens when you're coil tapping. Which, there's not like a secret. It's not like super scientific or anything like that. I mean, it works like a traditional humbucker when you coil tap it. So what I'm getting at here, and this sounds insane, but I've seen it done, is guys put 2 of these hum cutter pickups in a 2 pickup guitar, and they, through experimentation, which is how this is done, because it all depends on the switches that you're using and how you're going to wire them and whatnot.
Right.
But I have seen coil tap scenarios where the person is running the blade of this one with the pull pieces from this one, because he has the guitar wired to do that when he hits his coil tap switch. I am not recommending this. Yes, it's cool, but I can't show you. The people who have done that have been like, and again, it's not that complicated. It's just a guitar wiring thing. And if you are very, very good at wiring a guitar, this is not a very complicated thing to figure out. And so you can get some interesting sounds. Now,
we haven't tested that for ourselves.
No, and we don't offer anything like that on any of our guitars because we put this bass contour thing on our guitars. And I feel like the bass contour gives you all of that stuff without needing to play around it. But there's guys that like to tinker. There's guys that like to play.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorite NAMM show stories that I go back to all the time is that at any given NAMM show in California, I will have 3 or 4 guys come up to me and be like, I've developed a switching system that you can take a 3 pickup guitar and get 78 different sounds out of it. Cool. The average player is going to use 2. It doesn't,
Maybe 3.
it's that is such a hard thing for us to market. And I always tell those guys, you should sell that. You know, like that's cool. There are people out there that like that. But any time a guitar manufacturer has tried to expand on those things, it just kind of falls flat and doesn't really sell in the marketplace.
Right,
You know what I mean? And you can think about the guitars that have that stuff, those old BC Rich Mockingbirds that have like a million dip switches on them or whatever. And they're cool and they're logical, but then, well, some of those were not logical at all. Some of those you needed a roadmap to figure out exactly what did what. But one of the ones, I don't know how we got off on this, but this is why you guys like to just listen to me ramble about guitar crap.
Jim Neal's going to yell at you.
Jim Neal's going to yell at me. Yeah, I'm having a weird Tom Anderson phase at the moment. You guys know I'm into other guitar brands and have a guitar collection, and I buy and sell stuff all the time. And I'm always looking for stuff to demo these pickups in and do things with. I recently acquired one of Pete's old Tom Anderson guitars, and I really like it. And so, and I just wanted to have something of Pete's. I just thought I don't know, man. I'm a fanboy, you know. And one of the great things about what I get to do for a living is that I'm a fanboy, and I get to hang out with people like Pete and Reeves and Robin and Billy and Greg and people who I fanboy over. I get to be friends with and hang out with, which is kind of neat. So, anyways, I got this Tom Anderson guitar that was one of Pete's, and I started looking into the Anderson stuff, and he does some sort of super strat thing that just like it makes so much sense switching wise. And I know that he developed this with Knopfler. Knopfler used to play a Schecter Strat in sort of the Alchemy era of Dire Straits in the mid-'80s that I think when Anderson was working at Schecter. And it's a 3 single coil guitar that has 3 mini switches to turn the pickups on. And it allows you to have any or all pickup combinations with the 3 things. And it's just 3 mini switches. And in a way, the simplicity of it is really cool. And it certainly works. And the guitar playing community goes, ew, I hate having those mini switches on a Strat, and it just flopped. No matter how logical it was, still just the simple way, what the things that everybody are used to, the 3-way switch on this guitar, it's what people are used to. And so that's one of the things that I really like a lot about the bass contour control is because it can be incorporated into these basic circuits to make the guitar have a lot more tonal options in a very simplistic and easy way without messing up the face of the controls or tampering with the controls too much. So there, blah, blah, blah. I talked. LG.
Scott
Hi, Scott.
wants to know if we are the first to use that bass contour control knob on the guitar. He really likes it, and he said it makes it hard to go back to playing other non-Reverend
Yeah,
guitars.
that's how we get you. No, we're not the first, and it goes back, but it's been around off and on very esoteric guitars.
Well, our good friends at GNL were doing it for a while, right?
They still may do it on their Comanche guitars, but I don't think they don't advertise it. And again, on a guitar that is so bright to begin with, it's not a noticeable thing. You know what I mean? But you get back to a handful of the '60s guitars had something similar on it. And like the Italian-made stuff, like the Echoes and stuff, where they just threw all the knobs on the guitar, and it was played around with then on some models. But we're the first company to really focus in on it and have it be a feature that is on all of our models, with the exception of a couple of the signature models where it doesn't make sense. Again, where the guitar is bright to begin with, the guitar is designed to be bright, and making it more bright with the base contour control doesn't make any sense. And also, if you're going to do something with that body shape over there, there's nowhere to put a third knob on that body shape. And if you do attempt to put a third knob on that body shape, you should be arrested and thrown in jail. I'm saying it right here. I said it right out loud. And we have artists even right next to Pete's guitar is Rick's Soul Shaker, and Rick just wanted volume and tone. He just wanted a very, very simple 2-humbucker volume and tone rock machine. He was not using the bass contour control. He liked it, but we are in the business when we do our artist guitars of making the guitars the way the artists want them set up. He did not need a bass contour control. It is not on his guitar, but it is on all of our production models. We are the first company to use it on all of our production models.
And the Robin Fink has 2 knobs, but it's
Robin's
bass and
guitar is volume and bass contour control because Robin
No
has no
tone.
use for the traditional tone.
Yeah.
And then it differs from the Veritone stuff because that was also around in the 60s, which had similar properties, but that was a click switch. This is variable, you know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
a sweep, as opposed to having different, some of the tone settings in a Veritone cut the bass as well, but this is, it's designed a little bit differently. It's just, the circuit works differently than it did on a Veritone. The Veritone did more than just, Veritone had a couple of different bass cut options because there were different capacitors that the switch hooked things up to, I suppose. Johnny Cola would we got some guys around here that are experts on that vintage stuff, like our Johnny Colas and Tim Cummers and the people that we hang out with.
And Joe Naylor.
And
That's why we're here.
you better believe it. Penny, of course, just drove it home.
I did.
Joe Naylor developed all of these things that we're talking about by owning a small music store in East Point, Michigan, and a repair shop, and fixing guys' gear, and then buying and selling vintage stuff right at the sort of the beginning of the vintage explosion in the 80s. I mean, it was already happening, but he was in on it before it got out of hand. He often talks about, every once in a while, Naylor and I will be at a show together, and he'll see some guitar that's selling for $60,000, and he'll be like, I used to buy those for $500 and sell them for $1,000 all day. I'd be like, he's like, just, if I'd have just put some under the bed. It's like, dude, you and everybody else in this business.
Right.
The
Right.
stuff we sold.
Right.
And we look back on it like, oh, why did I sell that? Anyway.
Simply on YouTube
Yes.
says, will the Manta Ray HB or another Reverend semi-hollow set neck with humbuckers be coming back for 2021?
I don't know when in 2021, but that is something that is on the plan. That is something that Joe has actively on his radar, which is why the Manta Rays. Yeah, that's another one of those things. We don't have many Manta Ray 390s left. I think we just have a few of the Alpine ones, maybe a Mulberry hanging around out there, and when they're gone, they're gone. And the Manta Ray as we know it will be gone. But there will be an updated Manta Ray someday. And again, this is sort of this thing where we're just completely overwhelmed with keeping up with the demand at the moment, that certain things had to fall to the side. And Joe had an idea on how to make the Manta Ray in a different way that made it a little bit more reverendy. And so Joe is pursuing that, and he can take as much time as he needs to get that done.
For sure.
And if not 2021, I would expect 2022. You'll see a new set neck semi-hollow from us, and it is weird to not have one.
It is weird to not have.
But
Yeah, I agree.
but we'll get there. We will get there. And the Kyle Shutt is going forward as is. Great guitar, great sounding guitar, great player. Kyle's got all kinds of cool stuff going on.
And
by
then-
the way,
And then there's the Space Hawk,
of course there's.
which is a sealed semi-hollow.
It's the same with the Kyle.
Right.
Yeah. And
Those are both set necks.
and yes, those are both set necks. But I'm I was thinking that this guy was thinking F-hole.
Well, that's what people are traditionally thinking. But
Yes. Don't forget the Space Hawk. Don't forget the Kyle Shutt.
right. And those both have Railhammers in them.
They do.
But if that's not your cuppa, you can put regular humbuckers of your choice in that same
You sure can.
spot.
I don't care what you do as long as you don't put a third knob on a telly body.
Right. My secret machine says, "Hi Ken,
Hi.
what are your thoughts on nitro versus poly finish? Does Reverend make any guitars with the nitro finish?"
This is a good, reasonable question. In our price range, we're not able to offer nitro finishes the way that we produce guitars. Nitro finishes are very temperamental. They're very, very cool, of course, but they're very expensive. The nitro finishes dry by emitting gas, and as the gas escapes the finish, the paint dries. And the thing about nitro, and the reason why vintage guitars look all cool, is the process of the gas escaping a nitro lacquer finish never ends. And so that finish will always be emitting some sort of gas. That's why you open up the case to a vintage guitar and you can smell it, right? Because it's emitted those gases into the case for that guitar's 50-year history or 70-year history or whatever it is. And then they shrink and you get the nitro checking, and you get the shrinkage and the cracks and all of that stuff, and all that stuff is very, very cool. Poly finishes, the paint itself hardens. An additive, it's a two-part system. An additive is put in the paint that makes the paint harden, glossy, and in theory, the finish will last for years and years and years and look the same. The satin finish stuff will shine up to your touch, of course. But you won't see the checking and the cracking and stuff in it, the brittleness. You'll never see the brittleness, and it'll always have a little bit of flexibility to it, at least for the foreseeable future in our lifetimes. You know what I mean? Who knows what they're going to look like in 300 years. But all of that being said, because the modern poly finishes don't emit gases when they dry, they're treated differently by environmental groups and the EPA and things of that nature. So when it comes to like a guys that are using the nitro finishes at like a Fender Custom Shop, Gibson Custom Shop, those things, there's X amount of stuff that they're legally allowed to do per year in the States, and which is why then sometimes you'll see them shipping guitars off to other countries to be painted and doing stuff like that. And there's a lot of rules and ways to get around those rules or whatever. But the lacquer is, because they no longer paint cars with it or paint household items with it, I mean, it's pretty much a guitar industry coating at this point.
So, yeah.
It's difficult to come by. It's very expensive. And you can only use it in limited quantity, which sort of takes it out of our price range. I don't necessarily want to be selling $3,500 Chargers. It would be awesome, but that's not sort of that's not the thing that we're really into doing. The poly finishes we can buff, we can work with. They're better endurance-wise for shipping around during different climate changes and things of that nature. And it's more readily available, and it is the current medium. I mean, it is the modern thing, and the poly finishes are improved all the time. So what we're seeing on the guitars now is much different than what we were seeing on the guitars 20 years ago. And the massive, of course, example of that is the reason why the vintage guys don't like the poly finishes is when the poly finishes first started to hit the guitars, they were putting on a 1/4 inch of paint on the guitars, and they were sealing the wood of the guitar in a plastic shell and killing the tone wood of the instrument. And so because of that, because the vintage guitar collectors associate that thick sort of plastic coating with eras of guitar building that aren't as popular, say the 70s from the Big Two,
Right.
That poly finish has a bad reputation because of the limitations of the poly finishes in that era and how they were applied by those companies that at the time were more into making widgets than they were into making instruments. Now, here we are able to apply the finish very, very thin. and it comes with its own limitations. Seems like we've been talking about this a lot lately. But between the Carina and the very, very thin finish, Carina will sometimes develop little dimples in the wood. And when in order to make those dimples completely, so where you can't see them anymore, you have to cover them with a lot of sealer, sand the sealer down, cover them with a lot of clear, sand the clear down. It is more important for us to have a very, very thin finish on the guitar so that the guitar resonates in a similar way that a guitar that was finished in lacquer resonates. And so we allow for X amount of finish flaws in our models in order to compensate for having the very, very thin finish. We're able to apply the poly finish and have it protect the wood and have it be glossy and look good, very, very thin, which is something that the technology's evolved for. And so we just do our best as far as the limitations of applying the thin finish so that we could take advantage of the thin finish for resonance, right? Without having to put the big heavy coat of stuff on, and get a guitar that plays and sounds fantastic with a very thin layer of poly. I over-answered your question, but these things are important to me. And also, I was in the paint business before I was in the guitar business, so it's something that I feel qualified to discuss. Paint.
Simply on YouTube again.
Yeah, man.
Said, is there a recommended way to change strings when you have a Wilkinson trem, such as one at a time versus all at once, and so on and so forth?
That is a personal preference type thing. Yes, if you change the strings one at a time, it is easier to keep the tuning stable because the trem is floating. And so removing one string, putting in the new one, stretching it, tuning it up, tuning up all the strings, and then go to the next one and repeating the process across all 6 strings will keep the trem stable while you're doing it, and will be easier to tune when you're finished. However, I prefer to remove all of the strings. I put a myriad of things underneath of the trem to keep it from tilting back when I'm changing strings. Old guitar tech's trick is to take your plastic string pack and fold it into quarters so that it's somewhat thick, and then put it underneath of the bridge. So if you have a trem route, like on a Reeves Browse model, you're not putting pressure on a single point on that route. You're sort of spreading the pressure of the springs around onto the top of the guitar a little bit. And you want to do that, put that under there so that it's snug, so that when you remove all the strings, the bridge doesn't tilt back. And I like to remove all my strings at once because I'm weird about cleaning the frets. I have very, very acidic sweat. And after I play a couple of gigs, my frets start to lose their luster. And so I like to take the steel wool and have the little Stu Mac fret card thing and run down and zip down my frets every couple times I change the strings so that they're sweet. And so I like to remove all the strings myself, and then I don't mind spending the time to tune it up after. So recommendation, whatever you're comfortable with.
I also should tell the people, you're a neat freak. So you're going to go in and you're going to
She was literally right before this broadcast making fun of me for coiling up a microphone cable. She's like, they can't.
I was like, it's fine.
Yeah, she's like, it's fine. It's not in the camera, but it's in my field of vision. I mean, why not have it coiled up? So I guess I'm the crazy one.
A little bit.
Fine.
The Faceless Monster says, do your tilt-back headstocks use scarf joints?
No, not in the traditional sense, no. On the set neck models, when we have a tilt-back headstock, like on the Roundhouse or whatever, I'm going to look, but I don't think we're going to be able to see it.
Can't see it.
Not in the dark violin brown, no, but I mean, I'll just hold it and explain it to you anyways. This is a 3-piece Carina neck, and it is 3 pieces lengthwise. So if you think of the middle being 1 piece and then either side being a piece, and then those 3 pieces are glued together, and that is done for strength. Whenever you laminate wood like that, you make it stronger, and that way we don't have to have the ugly volute thing here behind where your thumb rests when you're playing in the first position because the headstock gets strength by being a 3-piece neck long ways. That being said, we don't need to scarf it in here. They are made out of 3 pieces of wood that are carved, and it is carved this way, and then all glued together for strength. And then, of course, the fretboard is then put on top of the route for the truss rod. So to answer your question, no, that is how the tilt-back headstock necks are constructed. 3 pieces long ways. Good question. I like that. Because that's one of those things that we should talk about more.
Right.
I mean, it's a nailer thing. It is a really makes for a good guitar, you know. So yes, indeed. Sorry, my nose is so itchy.
Why don't you play us out?
Play us out.
Play us out.
Penny's like, God, I'm so sick of listening to this guy talk. All right. I was, lately, and especially with the Railhammers thing, but lately I've been really fascinated with this. I'm always, but with this afterneath thing and this idea. If you guys have heard, I'm a really huge Mark Knopfler fan, and this Ride Across the River sort of tone where you have this digital reverb that just kind of floats there, and then you can play over this digital reverb. And I could just sit here for hours with this afterneath pedal and just make noise. You just pick a key and play in it, and it sounds awesome. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Algie, what are we talking about next week? Do you have any idea?
Whatever's not
nailed
out the
down.
door. Yeah.
I think that we have a new, very, very cool Wildwood exclusive in the house.
Ooh.
We can talk about that. We can also talk about Russo Music's Chargers are in the house. They're getting ready to go over to him. A lot of interesting things going on around here.
Yep.
And look for some teasers for next year. And you guys all have a fantastic weekend. And we'll see you here next week.